I understood. How do we make our classes more interactive? Have you seen a set of videos by Professor Michael Sandel? I think it's called Justice, if I'm not wrong. It's Professor Michael Sandel taught a course on philosophy at Harvard for the sophomore student. That means second year students. His teaching style was to describe a situation and then ask the students how they would solve the problem. Please go through the YouTube thing. It is free. It's available. Now, this requires a discipline amongst our children to first study what is going to be taught in the classroom. They may not understand fully. They will have several doubts. Naturally, they should write down. So in the class, when the teacher introduces a topic, then the children, the students would be in a position to ask questions. The teacher then can also involve another student to think about the solution to the problem. But all this interaction requires that the students do a little bit of homework on what is going to be taught the next day. Now, a step towards that could be to make sure that whatever was taught today, if I go through that, then in tomorrow's lecture, when the teacher is building on top of what he or she taught yesterday, he or she can ask questions. What, we learned yesterday this, what do you think of that? How can that be a change, etc.? Because classroom is always like that, right? You teach something first, tomorrow you teach some improvement over that, etc. But for that, we have to bring about a cultural change in the country where children will have to look at, or children will have to spend some time understanding what was taught in the class today, do some homework problems, and then they will be in a position to participate. For example, in any conversation, if you and I have to contribute reasonably equally, I should have known a little bit about what we are discussing. You should have known a little bit about what we are discussing. Otherwise, there is no conversation possible. So there is a very important requirement in changing our culture where the students spend some time on what was taught in the class, and if they have a little bit of time, spend a little time on what will be taught tomorrow. I think that's the only way anything can be interactive. That is, both the parties should know what they are talking about. Otherwise, it's more me.
So may I add something to this?
Sorry?
Can I add that?
Please.
So apart from that, very true, sir. Thank you so much for that. But at the same time, the learning resources, what we are having today, it's changing, right? So earlier we just had textbook, and with the only two resources, one was a professor or a teacher, and then the book. But today the content is available, much widely available. How do we make use of it? How do students, the technology is changing rapidly, so how do we use those so that the students are prepared for tomorrow? Right? That becomes critical for us. And that's where we have to evolve and get more better content of like this international authors, converting it into Indian requirements. That becomes critical for the learners.
See, I think the important thing is, yes, in some schools, both private and government, where the children, where the parents have been able to create an environment at home where the children can focus on studies every day. This kind of thing is possible. Whether you use some textbook or that's not the issue. The issue is you have to think about what was taught, whatever mechanism you want to use is fine. And then hopefully prepare a little bit for what may be taught.
So if I understand this conceptual physics, it talks about motion, then dark matter, then various other theories, and also specifically about the energy. And there is a striking, synonym which I can say that from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita also speaks about the universe is a manifestation of energy. So things like that. It talks about interconnectedness, which Mr. Paul also was speaking about. So isn't it high time for the Indian government to introduce the teachings of Bhagavad Gita in primary, secondary and university level?
This is not a discussion on Bhagavad Gita or philosophy. I think the best people are, you can ask the education minister in Karnataka, you can ask Mr. the Pradhan in Delhi. They are the right people to answer this. I am not the right person. I can only talk about science, STEM, and the physics book that was released.
But what do you think personally?
No, I don't think my personal views matter in this. The views of the leaders, they matter. So please ask.
Now, once you have mentioned about the need for training of teachers to uplift our children, so as to accelerate towards Viksit Bharat. The need to create extraordinary teachers that are training them.
Absolutely. My view continues to be that we have to select a set of highly competent teachers, retired teachers, both from India and from abroad, particularly from the developed world, US, UK, Australia, Germany, New Zealand, etc., Singapore. And we can invite them to come here, give them a suitable compensation, and they can hold probably a year-long course on how to teach children STEM subjects while importing critical thinking, analytical questioning, problem recognition, and problem solving. If we can, let's say we invited 10,000 retired teachers from India and abroad, highly competent, the best teachers, and each of them can handle about 25 teachers. What we are saying is that they can they can train 250,000 teachers in a year. In a matter of 5 years, we would have exceeded 1 million teachers who can be trained. So this is what I have been suggesting for the last 27 years.
Yeah.
So this is something that may be looked at by our political leaders. Okay.
Yeah.
If, as I pointed out in my lecture, if these children have to fulfill the wishes of our Prime Minister of reaching Viksit Bharat by 2047. See, I'm 79, so I can't do much. Okay, right? I'm gone. Only these children who are between 12 and 16, they are the ones who have to shoulder the major responsibility. And so our job is to equip them to fulfill the dream and the vision of our lives. And this is one of the ways.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Good evening. So what is the vision for the future of STEM education in India, and how can it be leveraged to drive innovation and economic growth?
Well, science is about unraveling nature, unraveling the secrets of nature. Technology is about using scientific inventions to create new products and services that make the life of citizens better. And mathematics is the language that connects science and technology in some way. It is also, mathematics is very much needed for clear thinking because it is the most precise and concise way of communicating. You write an equation, even if you wrote in words 5 pages, there will be some confusion, there will be some doubts. Whereas when you read the equation that I wrote, you and I understand the same thing. Therefore, mathematics becomes the language of communication, language of interconnecting different branches of science and different branches of technology. So therefore, because technology is about reducing cost, improving productivity, reducing cycle time, it is about enhancing entertainment. It is about finding cure for various diseases. In other words, technology makes life better for human beings. So that's what I would say.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah, please.
So, we're talking about children. Today's children are born in a very different era. The kind of distractions that they have, social media, etc. Their attention span is decreasing. Whereas, earlier it was different for us, early generations. So, in this era of distractions and everything else, how much, and also additional co-curriculum activities that children have. So what would be, your recommendation to children of today? How much time they should dedicate to studies and, basic, as you were mentioning?
I think that's a very good question, very important question, very difficult question in some way. It is the responsibility of the parents to create an environment of discipline and learning at home. Let me explain why. My wife and I decided in the middle and late 80s and perhaps early 90s also, when our children, both our daughter and son, were studying in primary and middle schools that the best way to create an environment of learning for our children is for us to read something between 6:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Of course, I mostly was in the office, but my wife used to do that. Then we have dinner, and then 9 to 11. Everybody in the house was studying. No TV. There was no TV in our house at that time. Because my wife's logic was, look, if I am watching TV, I cannot tell my children to study. So she said, I will sacrifice my TV time. And I will also do some study. And when I came back from the office and finished my dinner at 9, I also used to study. The entire house, we are only 4, around our small dining table. 4 of us used to sit and we used to. The advantage would be, of course, that's not always, it doesn't always happen. If they had any doubt, they could ask us. But that's not always possible. Parents may not have studied as much as the children are studying. That's possible. But that's not as important as creating an environment of discipline in learning. That leadership by example is the responsibility of the parents. If the parents are going and seeing movies and then telling children, no, you will study. No, it won't. It just, anyway. That's what we did. Yeah.
ಇದು ಪೂರ್ವ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿ
Yeah.
ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗಳು ಪ್ರೈಮರಿಯಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗಳು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ 10ರಿಂದ 5 ಅಥವಾ 6 ದಿನನಿತ್ಯ ಒಂದು 8ರಿಂದ 10 ತಾಸು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತದೆ. ಆದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲವು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗಳು ಬಂಕ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ, ಇದಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಹುಡುಗರಿಗೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮಿಗಿಂತ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗಿಗೆ ಈಗ ಪೌಲ್ ಅವರು ಅಂತ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ PSON ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಥ ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಥ ಆನ್ಲೈನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಟೈಮ್ ಆದಾಗ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಓದಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಒಲವು ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತಲೋ ಅಥವಾ ಹುಡುಗರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಯಂ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗಿಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು?
No, I think it is a combination of both. You need a teacher because the teacher becomes the focal point. Every child is looking at the teacher. Every child is hearing what the teacher is saying. Every child is looking at what the teacher writes on the board. Everybody looks at how the teacher solves the problem. That doesn't happen at home, generally. It doesn't happen. And number 2, if you have reasonably good teachers, all the children in the class, there may be 30 or 60, they all have the benefit of that good teacher. But if I have to study at home, Balu has to study at home, his parents may be very good, my parents may not be very good, it won't happen. Therefore, attending the classroom and listening to a good teacher, asking him the questions, clarifying all the doubts, I think it is very important. In addition, at home, as we pointed out right in the beginning, it is very important to ruminate over what was taught in the class today, and if there is time, to think about what would be taught tomorrow. And that also helps you discipline. As I pointed out in our house, every day my wife used to sit down with 6:30, between 6:30 and 8:30, 9 and 11 with the children. Nothing else. We are not going out, no guests were coming except on Saturday and Sunday. So therefore, it helps them discipline. It provides them opportunity to reflect on what the teacher taught in the class. So I do think that a combination of that's what I have found. Both my children have done very well in education. Daughter went to Stanford, son went to Harvard, did his PhD. I mean, it's pretty good by any standards. Sorry, I answered it in English because ನನಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಅರ್ಥ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಕನ್ನಡ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ವಿವರಣೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಸರ್.
ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ
ಐ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್.
ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇದೆ, ನನಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೊಡದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟೈಮ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಸರಿ ಇದೆ ಸರ್.
Mr. Murthy, quota in Rajasthan has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. A large number of spiraling cases of suicide by...
No, it is not just suicide. I think quota is the wrong way. Coaching classes are the wrong way to help children to pass examination. I don't believe in coaching classes. Period. No further questions.
No, is it peer pressure? Is it...
No, I don't believe in coaching classes. That's what I'm saying. I think coaching classes are not the solution to help our children learn better. That's completely wrong.
Yes, Mr. Murthy, so I think you mentioned that a cultural change has to be implemented at like the fundamental level. So what, according to you, are some gaps that exist in terms of knowledge, availability of knowledge and accessibility to that knowledge in the higher education system in India?
No, as I pointed out, see, education is defined as learning to learn. When I finished my engineering degree, I did it in electrical engineering 57 years ago. The world expected me to have fully understood basics of electrical engineering, generators, motors, transmission, all of that. And when I joined the job, to ask a question like, how can we make a better generator? How can we manufacture a better motor? How can we reduce the transmission loss? These were the things. So the purpose of education is learning to learn. In the job, my education should help me ask critical questions. It should help me to do analytical thinking. And it should help me to recognize problems that have not yet been solved, maybe in my factory, whatever it is. And then think about how to solve it. Unfortunately, somehow we have focused, by and large, leaving aside some exceptions. We should not take exceptions and then say, no, whole country. By and large, in our country, the focus has been on rote learning. And that rote learning doesn't help us to relate what I learned in the class to think about real world problems. For example, if you were to look at that conceptual physics, right in the first 20 pages, you will see how can we estimate the distance from Earth to Moon? How can we estimate distance to Sun? How can we estimate size of Moon? How can we estimate size of Sun? Etc. etc. Now, that book is helping our children learn basics of physics to understand the world around us. For example, when a car moves away from me, the sound reduces. What is happening? Why is it? Similarly, he talked about why do you see a rainbow and why are those 7 colors? How do you get white light from those colors? So there are, I spoke about how the cable car in San Francisco, as all of you know, San Francisco is a very hilly city, lots of ups and downs. So they have designed cable car whereby the energy that one gets while going down the thing, while going down a slope, is used in going up. So I think as long as what we learn in the class, what we learn in our colleges helps us to first understand nature around us. Second, to recognize natural phenomena that we don't understand. Third, find a solution to those. And finally, see whether all the knowledge that I've learned can be used in creating new gadgets. For example, when Einstein saw what's called the perihelion of Mercury, he studied it and he found that Mercury was not following Newton's laws. He said, no, but is it that my study is wrong, or is Mercury really not? He confirmed that his study was not wrong. Mercury, perihelion, Mercury was not exactly following Newton's law. Then he started thinking. First he observed. Some that observed that Mercury was not following hitherto known laws of motion. That was the first step, what I spoke about. Second, he started thinking, why is it so? Then he said, very near sun. As you know, how many, do you know what's the size of sun compared to Earth?
108 times. 108 times bigger.
1,000,000 times Earth. See, the diameter of sun is 800,000 miles. The diameter of Earth is 8,000 miles, right? 4,000 is the radius, 8,000 miles is that of Earth. It's just somewhat of a sphere. And what is the area of a sphere? What is the volume of a sphere? Can somebody tell me here? 4 by 3 pi r cube, right? Therefore, you have to raise it to the power of 3 if you want to find out what is the volume of sun. Now, when you divide the volume of sun, 4 by 3 100 r cube divided by 4 by 3 r cube, because the diameter or radius of sun is 100 times. It's 10 to the power of 2 to the power of 3, right? That is 10 to the power of 6, a million times. So he started thinking, because Mercury is so near. Does anybody know how far is Mercury from Sun?
Very far.
No, you have to speak slightly louder.
Sun is
I'm hot.
very far.
No, it's about 29 to 30 billion miles. How far is Earth from Sun? How many of you can tell? 92 million miles. So I think Venus is about 55. But I'm around this. I may not be exact. So then he started thinking, is Mercury's thing is really getting affected because it is very near a big sphere? That's when he came out with the theory of special theory of relativity, and then he worked on general theory of relativity. So anyway, so the point I'm saying is the importance of education is first to observe, second to analyze why this difference is coming out, third to reason, or to, as I pointed out, to offer a hypothesis. Maybe this is the reason, but then you have to verify, right? And finally, if that hypothesis is observed by many people, I don't know, do you know who proved experimentally that Einstein was correct? Does anybody here know?
Bose.
Who proved
Bose.
that Einstein's theory of relativity was correct?
Was it
That
Stephen?
actually light was bending. Eddington, exactly. Arthur Eddington was a professor at Cambridge. Incidentally, he was also the guide of Dr. Chandrasekhar, and he was completely unfair to Chandrasekhar. Anyway, that fellow, he went to Africa, and on a solar eclipse day, he conducted that experiment. And he proved that Einstein's calculation was correct. So anyway, so that's what I think. Make a hypothesis, then verify if that thing is fine. And if multiple people have verified it, then you say it. So I think that is what education is all about. Learning to learn. Every day you have to say, how can I improve this? How can I make sure that this table can be cleaned better, faster? So, I'll tell you a story, I hope you don't mind, because I've taken so much of your time.
Please, pleasure, sir.
See, in 1993, maybe you were not born. In 1993, we conducted a workshop on innovation. Why don't you people sit down, because you're all standing. Get some chairs from outside. 1993, we conducted a workshop on innovation. All of you, please. Sure. On innovation. What is innovation? Is innovation the job of only R&D people? Or is innovation the job of everybody at Infosys? How can we benefit from innovation? How do we understand innovation? We did it. At that time, there were only about 150 people in Infosys. We did it in English, in Hindi, in Kannada and in Tamil because they were employees from all this land. Because we wanted every one of them to understand it well. 2 days later, one of my colleagues, was a peon by name Chandrapai, he came to me. He said, "Sir, he told me in Kannada, I didn't understand this innovation and all of that. Can you explain to me in a simple way?" I said, "Yeah, sit down." I said, "Your job, Mr. Chandrapai, is to clean 8 conference rooms every day. You are in charge of 8 conference rooms. So, your task is to keep these 8 conference rooms clean and tidy. Now, tomorrow morning, when you go to clean the first conference room, ask the question." I said before that, I said, innovation is only about asking 3 fundamental questions. 1, how can I do whatever I am doing faster tomorrow compared to today? The first question. All of you can ask. In everything that you do, ET, CT, whatever, every organization, you can ask these 3 questions. 1, how can I do whatever I am doing faster today compared to yesterday? 2nd, how can I do whatever I am doing cheaper today than yesterday? And 3rd, how can I do whatever I am doing with a better quality, with fewer mistakes today than yesterday? So I told him these are the 3 questions you have to ask. Whether you are cleaning the table, whether you are writing some piece for Economic Times, or whether you are even writing Conceptual Physics, it doesn't matter. All of us have to ask. So I said, tomorrow morning when you go to clean the first table, ask, how can I clean the table faster? One way is to say, today yesterday I used only one hand and one cloth. From tomorrow onwards, use 2 cloths and 2 hands. You will do it fast. 2nd, say, I asked him what cleaning liquid you are using. He gave some name. I said to him, you go to the market today and find out if there is a cheaper cleaning liquid which will clean as well as the current liquid that you are using. If you find, then you will be reducing the cost of your cleaning. 3rd, today when you clean the table, just probably if you count it, there will be probably 10 specks of dust. Tomorrow morning, carefully observe how many specks of dust are there and say that I will reduce the number of specks of dust to 9 tomorrow morning. That's all innovation, nothing else, nothing extraordinary. And when you go a step further, for example, of course, Sattva couldn't do. There is no cleaning liquid which is cheaper than whatever is available in the market today. So, whether it is Hindustan Lever or somebody else or Harpic, whoever, their R&D people should be thinking, how do I reduce the cost of making this cleaning liquid? Right? I mean, Chandrapa can't do, but he can only say, okay, there is there is cheaper cleaning liquid, let me buy today and see it's as good as that. So therefore, I would say that every one of us has the opportunity to innovate. So I I don't know why I said that, but anyway, sorry.
So, sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please. Yes, Balu.
So
Yeah.
this is related to what you said. So most children, sir, the age group you mentioned, and their parents as well, most of them, sir, because I've seen, they believe coaching classes are a passport to IITs and NITs. So what is your...
I don't believe in that. Because at the end of the day, the only thing you can say is coaching classes introduce a certain discipline, that's all. That every parent can provide the same discipline at home. Number two, coaching classes do have somebody who can help you in that subject if you commit a mistake. But if a student uses the time properly and if he listens to the teacher very carefully and asks the questions very carefully, no, I don't think. Most problem with the thing that I found with most people who go to coaching classes, they don't listen to the teacher carefully in the class. And for parents, they are not as competent to help them. And therefore they see some value, that is discipline, and then some questions, some answers to some doubts and all of that. But I think if we listen to our teachers, well, I think it's sufficient. That's my view.
Yeah.
So, sir, Mr. Murthy, India is largely known as science, STEM-educated nation, and we kind of produce a lot of graduates out of this vocation, of course. But one of the questions that comes to mind is, since a lot of these people go into CS-focused jobs, our understanding and the jobs we want is also those kind of jobs. Is India really a science-loving nation? Are we seeing that translate into the PhDs that we produce? I was recently in Israel, and I saw a lot of PhD graduates, PhD students being startups founders. We don't see that in India. So what is your understanding? What is your comment on if we are really a science-loving nation?
No, I think India too has a lot of startups. I don't believe that we're not as prolific in startups. We may not be the first, we may be the fourth or fifth. Particularly when you look at per capita. You see, everything we have to look at per capita. We can't say we're the third largest economy. We have to say per capita where we are. So US, China, probably Israel, and India maybe. So we're not that bad. Second, science loving, I don't know, it may be a little bit of an exaggeration to say India is a science loving nation. Because these startups are all founded and nurtured by a small number of people. In a nation of 1.45 billion people, even if you have 3,000 startups with 20 people in each, 20 leaders, it's a very small number. Third, we have not won any global awards in science and mathematics. Whether it is Nobel Prize, whether it is Fields Medal, whether it is Shaw Prize. There's only one Millennium Prize that we have won, that is Ashok Sen. just retired. He used to be at the Harishchandra Institute in Allahabad. That is a name. See, after Sir C.V. Raman, who won a Nobel Prize from the work that he did in India, it had a single case. Yes, Argom Khurana at MIT, he got. Srinivas Kulkarni, he got Shaw Prize from, but he is a professor at Caltech. Then Manjul Bhargav and Akshay Venkatesh, they won Fields Medal, but they're both at Princeton. I mean, one is Manjul is at Princeton, Akshay is at Institute of Advanced Study, Princeton. So I think it is somehow, I want to be a little bit humble. So I don't claim that we have some extra affinity for science. I haven't seen that. See, we have still not been able to find a vaccine for dengue. See, why is that? It's not America's disease. Otherwise they would have found one. Or UK disease, they would have found one. Right? We have not found a cure, a vaccine for chikungunya. Right? These are Indian diseases. I mean, or you can say developing country diseases. Neither India, Asia, neither South Asia, nor Africa has found a solution. Now, therefore, it is not proper for us to claim that we are science world. So we have a long way to go. We should be enthusiastic. We should recognize that we have a long way to go. Work very hard. We should become disciplined. We should open our mind to what's happening around the world, learn from all those people, and then we will automatically become better.
So what is the reason, sir, for not being able to develop this?
I don't think, you see, in mathematics, what funds?
Not dengue and chikungunya, developing vaccines.
No, I won't answer that here. I will tell you later.
So Murthy sir, there is a lot of politics in implementation of NEP. Some of the governments, it's quite unfortunate. I missed that opportunity when I was in the prime. So what are your thoughts about?
No, I don't want to talk anything political because that's not my area. I am unfit. I don't understand politics. I'm totally unfit to answer.
No, but your thoughts on NEP, sir?
No, I don't know.
Just quickly, one question related to what you asked about India and science. There's been a gradual decrease in interest, so much so that a number of colleges have stopped offering BSc courses. It's happening with engineering colleges also. Some of them have stopped offering mechanical engineering. One best example would be UEC, which at one point used to be,
No, that is a valid reason.
How do you turn this around and how do you make it more interesting for people to
See,
young people to take
at the end of the
basic
day,
science?
if you look at, everything has to be looked at per capita. Per capita spending on research in India, it is still one of the lowest. If you look at per capita research people in a country, compare with US, UK, France, Germany, all of the Singapore, everywhere, we are still lower. If you look at the use of R&D in Indian companies, it's still very, very, very low. If you look at the contribution of manufacturing to our GDP in India, it has to improve a lot. Therefore, when mechanical engineers don't get a job, why would they want to do mechanical engineering? At the end of the day, in any population, at best 5 out of 100 or 10 may be extremely bright. They may be interested in research and all. But 95 people like me want to take up a job. If they don't get a job, what will they do? Everybody wants to join the software thing. That also is now, unfortunately, in the last few years, they've not been able to take as many. So the solution to all these things boils down to how diversified is our economy. So I think that I don't blame youngsters, because look, after you have spent 4 years, if you are sitting at home, or let's say, how will your parents feel? Let's say, we took loan, we sent this fellow to engineering college, some people would have put him up or her in a hostel, and the child has no job. Every morning, the child gets up and the young man or young girl gets up. He or she has nowhere to go. At home, parents have to feed. How will you feel? So, I think at the end of the day, unless we get into areas where lots of mechanical engineers, lots of electrical engineers, chemical engineers, etc., can get jobs, none of them will do that. Similarly, unless every industry uses R&D to generate, we take something from some country and then we make it here. That is not R&D. That doesn't require that kind of investment in R&D. Therefore, your MSc people, physics, chemistry, biology, PhDs, they won't get it. So why will they do? Right? So I can't. Anyway, all these mistakes were committed long time ago, probably in the 70s, where we did not focus on manufacturing. We focused on big thing, steel plants and buckle and handle and all of that. At that time we should have thought that we should start doing small things, screwdrivers, then some minor gadgets. That's what China did. By and large, I think we in some way, right now Prime Minister is trying to correct that, but I think we committed mistakes in the 70s, 50 years.
So as you were reading this conceptual physics, didn't you miss the rigors of mathematics? It's so much associated.
The beauty of conceptual physics is you don't need more than high school mathematics. I would say high school mathematics. You don't need that. That's also graded. That's why it is called conceptual physics. It focuses on concepts, not mathematical equations. See, that's what I'm saying, Halliday, Resnick and all of that which you and I used, it's lot more technical, lot more mathematical and all of that. Whereas this is primarily about concepts. That's the beauty of that.
That's why it's called concept-driven calculations.
That's why it's called conceptual physics.
When did you come across this book, sir? Because it's been 30 years, 35 years, it's coming to India.
No, I must confess.
How that backstory?
No, this is probably it is about 2 years ago. And I bought it about 6 years ago. And when I have a little bit of time, I spend my free time in solving mathematics, mathematical problems, in reading and solving physics problems. Minor problems, not big ones. And in computer science. So I bought this book, but I didn't have time to read it. About 2 years ago, I started reading. And every page was such a joy, because I was getting new insights. And about 3 or 4 months ago, I contacted these people. I said, this is fabulous. It's a great book. You know, if it's made available in India. Actually, they said, no, it is available. We are coming out with a new edition. So, see, I'll tell you the beauty of Amazon. It's not that we had a joint venture with them, that's not why I'm talking that. We simply, no, we don't have it, we shut it down. The beauty is, at 11:30 in the night, I can buy any book that I want and download it on Kindle. All my books are on Kindle. And that removes one of the difficult steps in buying a book. You don't have to go all the way to the city. It may be available, may not be available, all of that. So I think online buying, online e-commerce has that. And for example, I'm a diabetic. I need a special kind of rice that is low glycemic index. I buy it on November. So it has its advantages. And what has advantages also sometimes comes with premium. Not in Amazon case, because they provide good discount and all of that. But the reality is simply this, that whatever is premium, it is expensive.
So, Mr. Murthy,
You cannot buy a BMW car for the same price as some other company. You can't get it. That's the reality.
So, Mr. Murthy, you are talking about the concepts like Mr. Paul was suggesting.
No,
No personal question.
No, but I think he spoke very well.
No, I'm talking about you. Did you start talking about the concepts of physics with the people which he had
No,
suggested?
actually, no, in some way, I have been, as I said, the only way I don't read any books on management. I don't read novels. I don't read much on history. I do read a little bit on culture, because my view is that we in India have to transform our culture if we want to make fast economic progress. So otherwise, I've been reading and I give so many lectures.
So do you think there is a need or a way to reduce our reliance on foreign institutes? Because every year there's tens of thousands of students moving to, foreign countries to pursue education, be it for quality courses. They think that the postgraduate courses there are much better than what we can offer. So do you think there's a way to tackle this?
Yeah, there is a way to tackle, obviously. But first of all, I don't know if we need to do that. The best way of knowledge transfer is through interaction. Interaction in person, interaction by Zoom, interaction through letters, through email, whatever it is. I strongly believe that we should enhance interaction amongst our STEM people, our educators, our thinkers, our intellectuals, between those countries that have performed better than us and ourselves. See, China committed a big mistake between 1949, when Mao Zedong decided that we'll close our country. And they did it for 29 years. 1949 to 1978. And the country was devastated. It was a poor country, very poor country. Fortunately, Deng Xiaoping realized this is not the way you can improve the prosperity of the country. And then he took a different direction. So similarly, I believe that trying to quarantine ourselves from the outside world, where a lot of progress is happening in STEM areas, in critical thinking, in analyzing, all of it is not a good thing. So I do not mind a small percentage of Indians, small percentage of competent Indians going abroad, becoming productive there, conducting themselves as model citizens of the society, and enhance the image of India and become brand ambassadors of India. A small person, there is nothing wrong with that. But they have to remember that this is the country that gave them foundation of education. Therefore, in some way, they should think of helping the less fortunate brother or sisters. But taking any step that will cut us off from outside world will be very injurious to the future of the country. Just look at it this way. How many textbooks have you seen in Canada which is like conceptual physics? Or you take anything, Halliday and what is it? Halliday and whatever that name. How many have you seen? Can you name one? No. So then, what do you want to do? Do you want to deprive our children of knowledge because we want to be so-called self-sufficient? No, it just doesn't work. I'll tell you, I used to work in France before. I think most all of you were born. And I used to go to a very famous bookstore called Hewitt. And one day I went to ophthalmology section, books on ophthalmology. I was flabbergasted to see that 55 to 60% of the book were in French, by French authors. I went through very carefully. And there were about 40 to 45% from other countries. That is Atmanirbhar. That is development. But simply closing down everything because we don't want to learn from outside, that doesn't. It will not. So all these dogmas, there should only be one dogma, and that is, we will, as Mahatma Gandhi, Rajendra Babu, then Rajgopalachari, Maulana Azad, Patel, Nehru, all of them. The vision of India is to wipe the tears from the eyes of the poorest child in the remotest village in India. In order to do that, unfortunately, you need STEM. And therefore, and there are countries that have progressed much faster than we have done. Whatever be the reason, I am not going to argue with that. So therefore, to say no, it's almost like saying that, look, you are a better student, therefore I don't want to be friends with you. I mean, how? It's almost like that saying. So I think we have to leave aside all these dogmas. Simply say whatever makes our country better. As long as we are not doing anything unethical, we will do it. We'll do it. Why not? Anyway,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
we have
Yeah, it's all about losing essence of time when we hear you, sir. And I think everybody enjoyed. I think everybody got 2-3 questions and more than that answer. Thank you for your time, sir. Any more questions unanswered?
Last one.
One
question.
more?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make it the last one then. You've been waiting patiently.
Okay. I just want to ask this beautiful question. This is happening with all the youngsters. We have a lot of knowledge. We have a lot of things to do to the society, but unfortunately, we don't have that power to do. And we have that system where our business will grow or not. This is which is happening with the youngsters.
No, say your question in a simple sentence.
Yeah, but
There's one thing we Indians have to learn. I don't know if you have observed. When I speak slowly. I speak loud. I speak clear. When I learned it? In 1992. Before we went public in 1993. I was advised by a customer to go to a training institute in the US and learn how to speak so that I could communicate clearly with investors. So I went, I attended, and you see, we South Indians have this habit of saying things, nobody will understand us. So first thing they told me is, will you please speak slowly, clearly, and loud? So kindly, and in simple sentences. We Indians have a habit of using the most complex sentence. So kindly ask me in a simple way.
Yeah, I just want to ask
Again, you see, you're saying like and all. No, just a simple question.
How to start a business and what is the homework we need to do to start a business if the business need to run successfully.
No, one question, how to start a business? No, I think that's a big lecture. Today is not, we'll discuss another time. Basically, you need an idea whose differentiated business value proposition is better than any existing products. start small. Second, you have to establish the market size for the idea. Third, you have to bring a team with complementary strengths but enduring values. What is complementary strength? For example, there should be somebody who is an expert in finance, somebody who is an expert in sales, somebody who is expert in technology, etc., etc. Enduring values, all of us should have the same enduring value. Same values. Honesty, good work ethic, decency, courtesy, putting the interest of all of us ahead of our own personal interest. That is, not putting the hand in the tail when we are looking at that side. I think that's all. In simple sentence, that's all. Wonderful. Thanks.
So there are some ideal quotas here and we don't get to see you every day. So can we ask a question on that? One question.
Which one?
Sir, just wanted to understand what do you think about the proliferation of GCCs that's happening? There is the proliferation of GCCs that's happening in India.
No, again, you see, I have retired, so I am not the right person to answer those questions. Please ask the CEOs of company. They are in a better position to answer because I retired in 2014. I have forgotten about all of that. Sorry.